So Spirit Halloween has just released their first 5 animatronics of 2025, and are they actually good? Well, let's talk about that. What's up, Honors? I'm Alex, as always, and welcome back to the channel. Of course, it's been about 2 weeks now since I've sat down this chair and recorded a video, but happy to be back now. And of course, it's a great time to be back because Spirit Halloween has just released their first wave of Halloween animatronics, I guess. Typically, the last few years, they've given us them all at once, pretty much, but it seems like this year they're gonna stagger them in little groups. Of course, the other day we got about 4 or 5 released, so honestly, I like how they're doing that. It means that there's more to wait for over the next month, so I'm really excited to see what else they release. But anyways, these 5 animatronics we just got, they all look really cool. Of course, some of them have been receiving some hate, I've heard, and some of them people have been saying are really good, so it seems like there's a lot of mixed opinions going around. But anyways, today pretty much just want to check these out and share my opinions on if I think they're good animatronics, bad animatronics, just over what I think of these first ones we're getting, and overall if I plan to get any of these, because I'll definitely buy at least a couple animatronics from Spirit this year. So anyways, that's enough talk for the intro. Let's of course get into checking out these animatronics. Starting off with the first one right here, which is of course Two-Faced Teddy. Alright, so starting off with Two-Faced Teddy, this guy I'll say is the one that I've been hearing the most hate about. It's like everyone's calling this like the worst animatronic of the year and everything. And honestly, I don't fully agree with that. I don't think he's like the worst animatronic ever. Really too bad. Of course, look at this guy right here. What we can see is he's just your typical clown animatronic. There's nothing too crazy. He of course features this black and orange color scheme, which I like the colors of that. Orange is definitely my favorite color, and then just has a Halloween vibe. Then of course you can see he has the head up there, which I believe is a exact same model as the Poor George faces we have, so nothing too unique going on there. They may have changed up the hair a little bit, but of course he has this animation where the head there, it flips around to reveal a different face, so it's a little bit like a jump scare, and overall I do kind of like how it looks. So overall, this guy right here, you know, it's just your typical clown. They haven't done anything extraordinary here, but for what it is, I think it's a decent clown animatronic. It would have been nicer to see something more unique rather than them just reusing Poor George's face and then just going with this classic clown look, but I do still kind of like the vibe they're going with. Another big thing I do like about this is price too. This is like a budget animatronic, only 130 USD, so overall some really great pricing on this, I have to say. And yeah, they still were able to put in like some detail on this, like the head right there looks pretty nice. Of course, the hands, the feet on it, definitely a bit cheaper in the costume too, but for what it is, it's not the worst ever. Now, I will say I'm a bit disappointed with the name for this. I was really expecting a cool teddy bear animatronic and stuff, but even what we got here, I think it's a cool animatronic. And honestly, I'm gonna say this is one that I'd potentially consider getting for this year. I do already have a few clown animatronics, but with just how big the clown tent part of my haunt is, I would definitely like a few more clowns to sort of fill up the space. So with just this guy's price, and now he's kind of like that jump scare, and I like the look of him, he may possibly be one that I would get for my clown tent. Yeah, overall, I don't think this guy really deserves all the hate. I do understand he's just more of a generic one, but for what he is, not too bad, and honestly an animatronic that I kind of like this year. Anyways, carrying on to what I personally think is the worst animatronic this year so far. This is of course the Night Owl, which overall it's pretty much just a big owl animatronic, pretty much. It stands around 6 feet tall. I think that's at the top of the wings though. The actual owl itself is only like 4.5 feet. But overall for this, pretty much, yeah, it's just this big owl. He's got these wings that sort of spread out there, and then he's got the body right there with that like creepy skeleton looking head. And honestly, just the things I'm not the biggest fan of is I think it definitely needs more animation on this. Really, all it has going for it is the wings right there. I wish it had like just something else going for it, especially for the price tag on this. And then, yeah, some of this just looks pretty cheap too. It's really just the wings that are just throwing me off. It doesn't really seem right. It's just kind of look like they put these big wings on, they put creepy cloth over, and that's it. It has like those cheap looking strings hanging down. I really wish they would have like went the extra mile and like made it sort of look like it's feathers or anything. Like they could have even just put printed fabric of like feathers on here. That would have even looked better than this. I think the creepy cloth type of vibe just cheapens the look of this. Now the head and body itself, it looks decent. I like the look of the legs they did and everything, and you know, they did kind of go with that feathery vibe on the body, which looks alright. It's kind of weird though, because they only really did on like the chest area right there. There's like this black area around it, which like it doesn't have a feather, so yeah, it just looks like a cheaper animatronic a bit. The audio isn't the greatest, needs more animation, so overall not my personal favorite. This may be my least favorite of the year. I'll have to see what else they release, but yeah, $250 for this, which, yeah, it seems a bit much. Like, The owl, it's big pretty much just because of the wings, which look cheaply put on there. So overall, this one, I'm not a big fan of it. Might be the worst of the year, but we'll honestly just have to see what else Spirit releases. And here on this next one right here isn't a new animatronic for this year, it's a return one. But of course we have Electrified Corpse back again, which this guy we pretty much already knew. We were getting him back, of course, from the teaser videos and everything, but overall, I am really excited to see this guy back. He's an awesome animatronic, and if he is in store, he'd probably be one that I would consider getting. Pretty much, it's this zombie-looking guy right here. He's got the wires going in him and everything, and really creepy look. I like the look of clothing on him. I like his body was chopped off right there. Looks nice, and then the zombie face right there looks awesome. He's also missing the hand right there. Tons of awesome detail going for this guy. And then the animation, too, is really awesome on this guy. It's really violent just how much he shakes right there. It looks insane, and overall, yeah, it just all works together really well to make this guy a really awesome animatronic. And he's only $150, which is a pretty good deal for what you're getting for just how big this guy is and the animation and everything. Just such an awesome prop for only $150. And I really am hopeful that he is going to be in stores. I'm not sure if he is going to be or not, I forget, but it would definitely be one I'd want to get because this guy goes so perfectly with my Death Row animatronic. He could fit perfectly in that hallway being electrocuted and everything. That'd be awesome. So overall, this guy, I'm really excited to see back. I think he's a pretty good one for them to choose to return. Seems like over the years, they always return like one really good animatronic and then just some others which are more forgettable. But this right here, I think is probably the star one that they return this year other than Silent Deadly. So overall, I'm really excited to see this guy back, and honestly one that I would maybe get. And carrying on to the next one right here, we have the Mutant Sewer Rat, which this guy's an awesome one. This guy, we pretty much already knew what he looked like too, because of course we got that leak from Flagship where his box was visible in the window, but this guy looks awesome right here. It's pretty much just this big mutant rat right here, which looks creepy. I love that face on it. That face is really the coolest thing about this guy, I would say. I love all that detail. They sort of made a zombified one a bit too. Just the way he looks, everything with the scratches and everything. It's awesome. And then his body too, I like how he's kind of like hunched over. He's got that big back right there. He's got his hands coming out, which look really well detailed. He's got the feet down there. And then I love the tail too that just wraps around his body right there. That looks like a really nice detail that they added. And audio on this guy sounds decent, and animation on this guy is alright. He pretty much just has the mouth right there. And then, yeah, I guess his head also moves back and forth. I just really wish with some of these they add more animation, because it seems like some of these other stores like Home Depot, some of their big animatronics are putting more animation to, and then Spirit are just giving us these with pretty much just one animation, which sucks. But overall, for what it is, it's a pretty good animatronic. And for its height, it's not too bad. I've heard people complain that it's too short at 4 feet, but you know, a regular rat is so tiny, like even 4 feet, this thing is still like a monster compared to that. I don't think they always need to make these animatronics like gigantic 6 or 7 feet ones. I think 4 feet honestly does work for this guy. Like if you do want that extra height, just like put this guy up a bit on some like boxes or a ledge or something, then you can give him more of the height. But what he is, the height's not too bad. Yeah, price on this guy, 230. It's alright price on this guy. I would like to see him more at like 200, but still, 230 is not too bad for what you're getting on here. A little bit of a shorter guy and everything, but 230, pretty decent pricing, I would say. So overall, this guy right here, an awesome one. Not personally one I would get. I don't think he's really cool, just not one that I would personally want, but yeah, this guy, he's an awesome one. Alright, and carrying on to the last one right here, which I will just say, I don't care too much about these licensed ones typically, because I don't always see the franchise for the movies they're part of. Because, of course, this one right here is the Valak the Nun, which I've never seen the Nun movies, any of them, so it's not a character that I care too much about, but for just what it is, the animatronic itself, it's a pretty cool one. Pretty much, it's this nun character right here that when she activates, she sort of jumps out, she moves her hands out from front of her. Overall, it's a really awesome animation and is pretty unique. And then, yeah, the look of the nun prop herself, you know, it's creepy. I don't know how accurate it is to the movie. Of course, if you've seen it, you'll know if this is accurate or not. But for what it is, it does look pretty decent. And yeah, just looking at some other photos of just other views of this animatronic, you can see just what this animation looks like. Pretty much, it's just this thing that pops out from it. I'm not sure if this is like the prototype version we saw where it's a scissor lift that pops out. It does look like it probably is just one of the regular mechanisms for something to make it jump out, except this time it jumps forward. But yeah, overall, one big complaint I have for this is just that mechanism in the back right there. It just doesn't really look that good. Of course, for your haunted house, if you were to hide that some way, like you can sort of hide it behind like a fake wall or something, like then it would look good. Like you just want this hidden some way, but if you're seeing this from a side view, it'll just look more cheap and just not that good of an animatronic. So I'm not the biggest fan of the way they set up that animation. I do understand just why they did that, you know, it makes sense. because to have the animation behind it, you know, it's not like the typical animatronics where like if it pops up, it can have the animation inside the body. Something like this, it has to have it behind it. But still, just cheapen the look of this animatronic a bit. But still, I love that animation, and honestly, if they were to reuse this animation for more props in the future, it would maybe be a cool animation that I would like to get an animatronic with this animation of. So I could probably easily put this in my haunted house somewhere and hide that mechanism behind a wall. But overall, for what it is, this animatronic itself, it's a pretty cool one. Of course, it's coming in at $300, which is a bit pricey, but of course, remember it is licensed animatronic, which are always a bit more because I have to pay for the licenses. So $300, it's not the worst ever. It could be a bit cheaper, but you know, it's this new mech and everything we're getting, so overall it's pretty cool and honestly a decent animatronic right here. Anyways, with all said, everyone, that's going to finish it for today's video. Hopefully you enjoy. Of course, if you did, please make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below your thoughts on these first 5 animatronics we're seeing from Spirit. And also, of course, as I mentioned at the start of the video, I'm finally back. Of course, with vacationing across Eastern Canada the last couple of weeks, which was really fun. But now, of course, I'm back here for pretty much the rest of the summer, so expect a ton of awesome videos coming your way. Anyways, until next time, goodbye.